Welcome to Hollywood. In this video, we are going to dive deep into the dark side of the golden age of Hollywood. Behind the glitz, glamour, and red carpets, there was a world of scandal, secrecy, and corruption. We'll explore the lives of 8 iconic actors whose careers were marred. 1. Errol Flynn. Errol Flynn was the swashbuckling heartthrob of 1930s and 40s cinema. Famous for his roles in Captain Blood and The Adventures of Robin Hood, he seemed the embodiment of daring and charm. But off-screen, Flynn's life was anything but heroic. Flynn was notoriously corrupt in both personal behavior and business dealings. He was known in studio circles for his reckless indulgence in alcohol, drugs, and underage girls. By 1942, things came to a head when he was charged with statutory rape of 2 underage girls, Betty Hansen and Peggy Satterley. Though acquitted, the trial revealed chilling details about his behavior, including his obsession with manipulation and coercion. Flynn was also believed to have ties to Nazi sympathizers, though the evidence remains unclear. FBI files detailed his erratic activities, and J. Edgar Hoover reportedly kept close tabs on him for years. In later years, his addiction spiraled out of control. He manipulated contracts, evaded taxes, and used his wealth to buy silence and protection. His autobiography, My Wicked, Wicked Ways, confirmed many of the rumors, showcasing a man who embraced corruption as a lifestyle. 2. Fatty Arbuckle. Roscoe Fatty Arbuckle was one of the biggest silent film stars in the early 20th century. But his fall from grace was as dramatic as any Hollywood script. In 1921, Arbuckle was accused of raping and killing actress Virginia Rappe during a wild party at the St. Francis Hotel in San Francisco. The media frenzy was unmatched. Although he was ultimately acquitted after 3 trials, his reputation never recovered. Arbuckle had a history of throwing excessive, drug-fueled parties and manipulating Hollywood's silent elite. During the trials, it was revealed that Arbuckle used his wealth and influence to pay off witnesses, intimidate reporters, and control narratives. The scandal severely damaged Hollywood's image, prompting the establishment of the Motion Picture Production Code to clean up the industry's image. Despite being cleared in court, Arbuckle was effectively blacklisted. His case remains one of the most famous examples of early Hollywood corruption and power abuse. 3. George Raft. George Raft made a name for himself playing gangsters in films like Scarface, 1932, and Each Dawn I Die, but his real-life associations were even more dangerous. Born in Hell's Kitchen, Raft grew up with mobsters and never truly left that world. He was known to have deep connections with organized crime figures like Bugsy Siegel and Meyer Lansky. He used his fame to protect criminals, introduce mafiosi to studio executives, and even help launder money through nightclub investments. Raft's refusal to play roles that glorified the FBI was a nod to his underworld loyalties. He allegedly intervened with Jack Warner on behalf of mobsters and had a hand in influencing casting decisions with intimidation tactics. The FBI kept thick files on Raft, yet he managed to avoid prosecution due to lack of concrete evidence. Still, his reputation as a Hollywood gangster with real gang ties was never far from the truth. 4. Charlie Chaplin. Charlie Chaplin is regarded as a comedic genius and film pioneer. But his personal life and political entanglements painted a more controversial picture. Chaplin had a string of relationships with much younger women, some as young as 15. He was sued for paternity fraud, and though DNA later proved he was not the father, the scandal haunted him. Politically, Chaplin was a target of McCarthyism. Though he claimed to support peace and labor rights, government investigations revealed his financial ties to communist sympathizers and multiple socialist organizations. This led to the revocation of his re-entry visa into the U.S. in 1952. He was also accused of evading taxes, abusing contracts, and manipulating studio systems to keep power centralized under his control. Chaplin's blend of genius and exploitation made him both admired and feared in the industry. 5. Wallace Beery. Wallace Beery, known for The Champ and Treasure Island, was one of MGM's highest-paid stars. But he was also infamous for violent behavior, bullying, and corruption. Rumors swirled that Beery was involved in the death of director Paul Byrne, Jean Harlow's husband, whose death was ruled a suicide under mysterious circumstances. Beery reportedly left town abruptly, and insiders suspected MGM's PR machine covered it up. Beery was known to be physically abusive to co-stars and crew, especially child actors. Shirley Temple detailed in her memoir how Beery would pinch her, try to intimidate her, and sabotage her takes. He also frequently used his power to have scenes rewritten, roles recast, and others blacklisted if they challenged him. 6. Robert Mitchum. Robert Mitchum's tough guy persona wasn't just for show. In 1948, he was arrested and sentenced for marijuana possession, one of the few top-tier stars to serve time during the era. The studio, fearing reputation damage, orchestrated a comeback campaign, including bribing officials and reshaping the narrative in the media. Mitchum's public redemption was actually a well-funded PR operation that buried deeper issues, like domestic abuse, infidelity, and drug use. He was known to physically threaten directors and co-stars if they didn't bend to his demands. Off-screen, he frequently broke contracts and forced producers to renegotiate under threat of walking off. 7. John Barrymore. John Barrymore, part of the famed Barrymore family dynasty, was one of the most brilliant actors of his time. But his career was riddled with alcoholism, manipulation, and corruption. Barrymore frequently showed up to sets drunk, causing delays and chaos. Studios had to bribe insurance companies and hire babysitters just to keep productions on track. He married and divorced several times, using coercion, forged documents, and hush money to protect his image. His debts were astronomical, and he often leveraged his name to get out of legal trouble. By the end of his life, Barrymore was broke and disgraced, symbolizing how unchecked power and addiction could destroy even the greatest talents. 8. Gig Young. Gig Young won an Academy Award for They Shoot Horses, Don't They?, but his real-life tale ended in tragedy and horror. In 1978, just 3 weeks after marrying his fifth wife, Kim Schmidt, Young murdered her and then shot himself in a New York apartment. It was later revealed that he struggled for years with alcoholism, mental illness, and violent outbursts. Despite this, he continued to land high-profile roles, thanks to agents and producers who helped cover up his instability with bribes and fake medical reports. Young manipulated women, threatened co-stars, and blackmailed studio heads. The tragedy of his end was a culmination of years of ignored corruption and instability. And there you have it, the 8 most corrupt actors of the golden age of Hollywood. Their lives were filled with fame, power, and opportunity, but many allowed greed, addiction, ego, and unchecked influence to lead them down destructive paths. Some were criminals. Others were master manipulators. All were reminders that behind the bright lights of old Hollywood, a darker story always lurked in the shadows. If you enjoyed this deep dive, be sure to like, comment, and subscribe to Hollywood Actions. Let us know in the comments which actor shocked you the most, or if there's someone you think should have made the list. Until next time, stay curious, stay bold, and remember, not all that glitters in Hollywood.